Thank you. Thank you. What's going on? What's going on out there? Social media. How y'all doing? Welcome to the BHLC podcast. Yours truly hosting the Big Head Light Skin Comedian. Thank you so much for tuning in today, especially for you all who's on YouTube. That's the only way I really like to roll now, but I do go Facebook Live, but I'm on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in today to my podcast here, the BHLC podcast. I got a great show for y'all today. I got a great guest, and I'm glad to have them. Finally have them on my podcast. I've been trying to make it happen. I'm making it happen today. But before I bring him in let me go over a couple of things before I bring him in. First and foremost, let me give love to Mr. G's right here on Shelbyville Road here in Louisville, Kentucky. One of my sponsors allowing me to do my podcast right here. They have a lot of good drinks and food specials, so y'all come out here. Let me see what's going on out here today there at Mr. G's. I'm getting ready to let y'all know what's going on at Mr. G's today. Hope everybody's having a great day today. It's a beautiful day here in Louisville. I don't know about everywhere else, but it's a great day here in Louisville, Kentucky. So, and I'm just really happy and anxious to get this started. They got a karaoke night. Yeah, they got a karaoke night tonight from 10 to 2, hosted by DJ Crafty, and this is every Saturday. They also have DJ Sims, free entry from 10 to 2 a.m. over 21. So come on out here and enjoy yourself at Mr. G's. Also, let me give love to my Smile Center, Dr. Kane, for keeping me tight up and being part of what I'm trying to do here. Support him at Smile Center, 7405 LaGrange Road. Also, make sure you go to KAC here in Louisville, Kentucky Alternative Care, which is medical marijuana, which is legal now here in the state of Kentucky. So go support them, Kentucky Alternative Care. That's what my shirt is here. So they're doing good things too, to help people who have all type of problems with their body. So I think that's truly great. Also, too, let me I'm gonna hit on this real quick and then I'm gonna get to my guest because I don't want him to be sitting too long. May is Mental Health Month. I'm gonna hit on that here when we get into this podcast. Yes, Mental Health Month. So make sure you text that loved one. And I always say this: everybody is in mental health. So you can take it for what it's worth. Everybody's mental health. Also, too, it's Nurses Week. It's Nurse Week. Nurses be saving lives all the time. And y'all just support all the nurses out there doing great things in these hospitals to keep lives saved and keep people feeling good. Much love to all the nurses saving lives out there. And y'all just keep doing what y'all do. And it's a lot of fine nurses out there too now. But with that said, I think one more thing I want to say, the open views of this podcast are just views of us, not facts, just open views of this podcast. And so you can't sue my light-skinned self. So one more thing. I'll be at the Louisville Comedy Club May 13th, this Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Y'all come check it out. And I'm on YouTube and Spotify. Give me a listen on Spotify. Give me a listen and watch on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. BHLC podcast. Okay, I think that's enough talking for me right now. And y'all know I can talk because I got all these light-skin problems and light-skin issues. Let me bring my guest in, but I'm going to give him a proper introduction because he deserves that. And let me hold on here because I want to give him a nice introduction. I'm going to let him explain what he does. And that's what I usually let my guests do, just explain what they usually do, what type of life they do and what type of career they got going on out here in their life. So hold on one second. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. The guest I got today is Derek Day Multimedia. He's a CEO, speaker, personal brand coach, and podcast host. Y'all give a big BHLC podcast welcome to the one and only Derek Day Multimedia. Y'all give him some love as I bring him in. What's going on, Derek?
Hey, what's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Look nice out there. You look nice. I don't know where you're at. You're in Detroit or wherever you may be at, but you look good.
I'm here in Arlington, Texas, and I'm sitting in my office here, and I just have like a virtual background that makes me look better, than I really am.
So make you look better.
Yeah.
You look good with your shirt on and everything. Like you came from somewhere that just was really important. If nothing else, you look important. So,
well, it's Mother's Day weekend, so I took my wife out to get a pedicure, and we got some tacos for lunch, and it is all good.
Yeah, that's true. Much love to all the queens and Mother's Day. Much love to all them too this weekend. Where are you starting this podcast? Tell the people a little bit about yourself, as far as your career, your background, everything. So they know who who they listening to and everything. So just tell them a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Derek Day. I'm an author, speaker, coach. That's what I do. I'm also a consultant, a software engineer. I'm an executive at a what they call systems integrator. I'm the author of 4 books: Deconstructing Religion, Part 1 and Part 2. Also the Martial Leader, which is leadership through the lens of martial arts, which I'm a lifelong martial artist. Studied Taekwondo, Kempo, Aikido, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, and some other systems within the Warriors Way system. So that's my background. I also boxed in the Kronk Gym in Detroit. Came up with people like Tommy Hearns and Milt McCrory, and So I got a little pedigree when it comes to the laying hands.
Yeah, I see.
So then like that's pretty much pretty much what I am. Like I was for a long time I was a pastor. I was in ministry for 30 years. I was a bishop, an apostle, theologian, and I walked away from all of it.
Right. Okay.
I walked away, and that's a story in and of itself. But that's pretty much the cliff notes of Derek Day.
Yeah, like you wear a lot of hats, man. I love. Let me say this first of all. I love wearing hats, but I can never wear that many hats. You wear a lot of hats, and that's great. And let me say this: for you to walk away from 30 years of pastoring, that's the thing I always talk about on here. Is one thing I always say on here is LSI, which I'm always about. I'm big about LSI, which is learn, share, and inspire. But let me say this: for what you did to walk away from 30 years, that's what I call stepping out on faith. I tell people, it's all we all do. If you leave something you've been with for years, you just stepping out on faith through God first. So that's truly remarkable doing that, knowing that you're stepping out on faith that it's going to carry you through what you're trying to get to through your journey. So that's truly amazing with inside itself, really more than anything to be like that. So, and I wanted to touch a little bit on. Like I said, I know you wear a lot of different hats, but I want to touch on this one first and foremost because this is that time of the year. But this is always close to me because I'm a veteran too. Let me say I'm a veteran. And
me too.
Are you? Okay, congrats to you. That's great. See, and what was you at in the veterans? What service? What branch was you in?
Navy.
Okay.
I was spec ops and intel.
Right. So you can really relate to what I'm about ready to say. Because I've had the Veteran Affairs Office on this podcast, a lot of the other veterans on this podcast. But what I'm about ready to say is mental health. This is Mental Health Month, and it's real big with our veterans. It really is. And I tell people, maybe I'm a little bit different because I am a veteran, but it's close to my heart that you got veterans out here with mental health, and they need. Some of them won't help, some of them don't. I get that, understand that. But the ones that do, they should get the help. We got a VA hospital here in Louisville, Kentucky. They building a new one. Should be opening up here soon, and it's truly a blessing. So, and I always said, if veterans needs help, we need to get them help because there are a lot of veterans out here that are homeless and don't really have to be. And some of them choose to be there. I know that some of them don't want the help, but there are some who do want the help. And that's where all the time I tell people, that's where other people like my podcast comes in and try to help them out, to get a place to stay. And there's different venues here that helps out veterans here in Kentucky. So, but I'm just real big on mental health, man. Even I tell everybody's mental in their own way because you got to have your peace of mind. You got to do things to keep you focused within inside yourself of being who you are. Because if you lose that, you can't be good to nobody. That's including your wife, whoever it may be you with. So, and I tell people all the time, it's very important to work on your self growth. It's very important. But you can elaborate on. I could talk forever on that. You can elaborate.
No, brother, it's all good because I'm a real big believer in achieving mental health. And let me say this: like there are two components to that. One is mental health is how am I right now, and there's mental healing, which how do I get to a steady state, right? So last night, like me and this other cat, Aaron Tomlinson, he's an ex-pastor also, and we do a Facebook Live every Friday night, and we're kind of struggling as to what we're going to call it because we used to call it Freeology Friday, and we changed gears a couple of times, but long and short of it is we talked about self-compassion, right? And why self-compassion is so important. And I'm not going to really belabor the whole subject, but it's this, that if I say, I love you, I love you, man, I love you. Right. That means that I have empathy for you. In other words, I want to see it through your eyes, walk a mile in your footsteps, right? And I have
Right.
compassion, which says I actually care. Are we cool to cuss on this podcast?
Yes, you can. Be yourself. Yes, you can.
All right,
Yes,
cool.
you can.
So
Be yourself.
compassion says I give a fuck, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
the thing is that when you say, brother, I love you. That means I have empathy for you. I have compassion for you. I cannot have empathy and compassion for you if I don't have it for me.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So before I can reach out to somebody and talk about mental health from external standpoint, I have to resolve it internally, and that's a big thing. And so I'm with you on that, and I'm also I stand in support of all the veterans. And one of the things that I've learned is that we sometimes make that distinction or that decision that we think that some veterans don't want help. The thing is that the only veterans that don't want help are the ones that don't know help is available.
Right.
But it's like when you put it to them and you say, hey, here's an opportunity for you to get help for this, to help you recover from this, or help you live within this, 100%. 100% you're going to get positive feedback. But one of the things that frustrates me is that people say, oh, well, they're just on drugs, they just, they lazy or whatever, and it's dismissive. But the reality is that everybody's got. Let me tell you something, man. I always say this, that given a sufficiently long timeline, everybody's got a bag they come out of.
That's right.
Everybody. So the thing is that, okay, when I come out of my bag, do I come out of my bag in a fanny pack or do I come out in a rucksack?
Right.
Right. And that all depends on how much shit you're carrying around. Yeah. And the objective is, in order to live a mentally healthy life, is to either minimize or mitigate what's in the bag.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But and you said a lot there, and you're right on it. And with that said, I want to say this more than anything. I tell people all the time, you never know what a person's going through. I don't care if they're at the top of the mountain. I don't care if they're a billionaire. If they're a billionaire or the lowest person that you don't know, never know what a person's going through. So I try to treat everybody fairly. Even the ones who sometimes may disrespect me, just because they disrespect me, as long as they ain't nothing out of the ordinary, don't mean I got to disrespect them. They might just be going through something. And I might could say something or text them or hug them, something that might save them for that moment, that day. And I tell people that all the time. So mental health is nothing. Also, your friend Tommy Stewart said, hey, so I wanted to let you know that too.
Hey, Tommy is the bomb. If you want a good guess, Tommy is the shit.
Okay, well, I have to look him up then. But like I said, mental health it's an everyday struggle for everybody, especially with what we're going through in today's time, with everything that's going on in this world between politics and just trying to live, just trying to have food, shelter, and transportation. It's tough enough nowadays more than anything. I tell people, you have to work on yourself first. I know a lot of people don't understand that. They say they're working on themselves, but they're really not. And it can catch up with you. I know people have talked about depression. Depression is real. Some people don't think it is. No, it's real.
Oh, it's real.
And I tell people, and especially since we've been through 2020, depression has really hit even harder because once we got realized what we couldn't even do, the only thing we could do is what we're doing now, social media, and we couldn't come face to face. That's when people really got into depression, like, oh my God, really had to realize, really work on themselves. And that's when this podcast was born in 2020, may as well say so, because I told myself, I might not be able to get on stage, but I'm gonna get on this computer and they're gonna feel me, and I want to pass some positive stuff out there to the people. So with that said, I tell people you have to work on yourself first and foremost to be anything to any person that's in your circle. You have to work on yourself first. Self-growth is so important. I tell people, and that's coming from a comedian. I have my moments, but I love doing stand-up. So, but it's just where I am with mental health. So, and also to another thing with mental health more than anything that really hits home with me more than anything is, you can go to a store, go to a club, have someone have a drink, just be next to a person, start talking to them, and you don't never know what they're going through. Matter of fact, let me just say, yesterday I went to go get some barbecue at this spot. My friend told me about it and turned me on to. Went there, and they just kind of got started, got things going, and I'm standing in line. Matter of fact, I got some turkey ribs. I'm going to tell you they're pretty good too. I have to turn them on. They're very good and healthy. Anyway, So this lady was in front of me. Don't know her from nowhere. And there was a guy behind me. And we all three got to talking and come find out. And she was very spiritual into the church. We got to talking. And she was just talking about a lot of things she was going through in her life. And me and the guy, he was just listening like I was. Yeah. So evidently she was going through some things. We both just kind of said some positive encouragement to her on that moment. After we all three got talking, because it took about 10 or 15 minutes to get food. And we was getting this grill spot, which is black people. Good food, you know how the service can be. And that's how it took a minute. But anyway, with that said, once we got our food, we talked for 10, 15 minutes. This is exactly what she said to us before she left. She said, God wanted me to meet y'all today. Thank y'all so much. Y'all don't know how much I made my day with considering all the things I was going through. And she said, thank you for talking to me. I said, anytime you good? She said, I'm good. I said, okay. Just in that moment, I was put there in that moment for that reason.
Yep.
So,
you know, I was in Kroger yesterday because I was getting stuff for, you know, I'm smoking some ribs right now. I got 3 slabs of ribs.
I smell
them. Because that's my thing. That's okay. You know, that's my jam.
I'm gonna be doing that tomorrow for my wife.
So I got ribs smoking for her today. And anyway, I'm in the Kroger and I'm shopping and I'm ringing up my stuff in the self checkout aisle. And there's this cat behind me, and I heard, you know, please use another form of payment. Right. Okay. And so a lot of times, and this is just me, what I'll do is I'll see somebody in distress like that, say, okay, I got you. But this this dude had like about $500 worth of shit. So I'm like, well, that ain't happening today, but you know, I'm gonna free a blessing over you and keep it moving. Because you know, on the one hand, you want to say, okay, where I can help out, where I can make a difference, where I can be impactful, I want to do that. Right. But, you know, you have to understand your limitations also, because it's like, man, back in the day, I'm like one of 5 black men in America that can't hoop. Right. But I could rebound my ass off and I could dunk. I could get a good dunk in on a fast break. Right. Because I had So that's how I used to get in the pickups. So, but you have to understand what your limitations are. So like now I'm in my 60s. Hey, I ain't dunking no more. You know? So you know what your limitations are, and you back away from that. I want to change gears real quick. I know this is your show.
Go ahead. That's what we talking. We have a conversation.
When I saw you showed up in my feed. It said big head light skin podcast, right? Okay. I was like, you know, my wife always dogs me out. She'd be like, you know, you're big head light skin ass.
Well, my light-skinned brother, I love you.
And it was like, when I saw that, I said, damn, I said, this nigga's my tribe. You know? So I said, that's when I reached out to you and we connected. So I just had to throw that out there for everybody.
And I'm glad you did too, because, man, I got a lot of light-skinned jokes and light-skinned jokes. I save it for the stage. But with that said, you know, and especially about being Mother's Day tomorrow, let me just, because it kind of blends in with a little bit with mental health here. When my mother was alive, God bless her soul, and God knows I think about her every day. But long story short, I used to always take her grocery shopping because, you know, she didn't drive. She was 80-some years old. I couldn't pick up. I take her everywhere she needed to go, and we go grocery shopping. But one day, she had put all the stuff on the belt at the grocery store, and the lady was ringing it up. Now, you know how you put a divider in between the other person and your person's stuff? Okay, what happened was, I think my mother forgot to put a divider. Pretty much sure it was her. So she forgot to put the divider. So it's a lady behind me. And she has some stuff. So the cashier, the lady's ringing up, she started ringing her stuff with mine. Yeah. I'm talking about at least half, if not all of it, Derek. I was like, oh my God. So because I didn't know it till she said it. I was like, hold on. I said, you didn't buy them? We didn't get them. She said, oh, she said, when y'all, I'm sorry. I said, you know what? I said, go ahead, don't worry about it. I'm gonna pay for it. That lady looked at me like, huh? I said, yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. She said, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it for you, no problem. I said, because I don't ever know when I might be in a situation or somebody in my family, one of my kids might be in a situation. And they might need that help. So I said, yeah, I got you. I'm going to go and do it. This is Mother's Day weekend. And my mother looked at me like, well, I raised you right. I said, yes, you did. Yep. So yeah. So I tell people, you know, and my mother, she was, you can almost say she was born in the church because she was church secretary at a young age. And she went to church for like her whole entire life. So she made sure I went to church. Yeah. So, and I thank God for that. She put that spiritual foundation in me. And that's why I am the way I am. So, but yeah, I just thought there was an interesting story being Mother's Day come tomorrow, and she just was a lively spirit, and I truly miss her. And that's just family for, you know. And I was going to go into family a little bit too. I love my family, and I do anything in the world for my family. But I tell people, just because they're related to you, don't mean they family.
Right.
And it's hard to understand. People say, "What do you mean?" I said, "No, just because they relate to you don't mean they're family." It's kind of like the same way, like I tell people when when a female has a baby, they don't make her a mother.
Right.
Same way with a guy, when he has a child, that don't make him a father. He might be a baby daddy, but he ain't a father.
Correct.
So you have to understand where I'm going at with this criteria in this. So, and I tell people that. So you have to family. I love family, but just some certain family members I have to let them be. I love them, but I have to love them from a distance. But I'm sure you got family members too that you deal with on that.
And it's funny because like me and my siblings are pretty tight, right?
Me too.
But I have cousins, I have uncles, aunts, and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I can, and this is not to be harmful or anything, but I can take a leave. I can take a leave, and. But the funny thing is, like my wife jokes me, right? Because when she met my family, it was like we didn't really come up in church, right? Because like my grandfather's family, my mom's dad's family, they had two categories: the saints and the sinners, right? Mm-hmm. And so we came up in the sinners camp, right? Because my grandfather, he gambled, he drank, he cussed, and all of that stuff. He's a womanizer, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so we get down with a lot of crazy stuff. Like we like to play cards. We like to eat chitlins.
Right.
We cuss, talk shit to each other. Mm-hmm. And my wife is like, damn. She said, "Y'all the darkest light skinned niggas I ever met."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't let the skin color fool you. Look, I still got to be real about it. Yeah,
exactly. It's like I came up in the hood in Detroit, so it's like, look,
same way here. Yeah, and funny. I got relatives in Detroit too, and love them to death. Matter of fact, I was just talking to them last week. But I got relatives up in Detroit, but I love my family. I do anything in the world for family. And let me say this too. I always tell people, family goes with mental health too, because family are the ones you're going to lean on. I tell people, when you got mental health, if that family member calls you at the right moment to help, they can lean on each other. That's a beautiful thing. You need that text or that hug. That's a beautiful thing. And I tell people, it ain't always about people always get with family. You think, oh, okay, he's calling me all. I know this is about some money. I ain't answering this. So a lot of times it's just about time. They want your ear to vent. And that's all more than anything. It's just about time. And look, time is money too. I get that. But people have to understand, I don't mind giving up my time if it's going to help save somebody from doing something they don't need to be doing or help them be a better person after that moment. I tell people so. And time is more valuable than money. I tell people all the time, they don't understand that. And I'm saying that time is more valuable than money. Yep. People don't understand that, but that's real as it get right there.
Time is the most valuable commodity you have. It's like if I say, brother, lend me $20, I can give that back to you. If I say, let me wear that cool shirt you wear, you let me wear that shirt and I can give it back to you, right? I wash it, of course, but
right.
But if I say, give me 5 minutes of your time, I can't give that back to you. Once that 5 minutes is gone, it's gone.
That's right.
And I got to share this with you because my mom passed away in November. She was 85 years old. She had a good life. And I appreciate that, man. But, she had a thought experiment that she used to always run. And she ran it for like the last 20 years. She was like, okay, somebody would ask her, hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. And she would say, like, do you care? That would be her response. Do you care?
Okay.
Or she would say, like, how you feeling? And she said, how you feeling today? And she said, do you have time?
Right.
And so she was always, working that thought experiment because she said people are just going through the motions with saying things. They have these autonomic responses. Right. And what she was trying to do was trying to get people out of responding, just as a knee-jerk response. She wanted you to really think about what you were saying because her thought was that most people don't care how you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't have time to listen to to what you're going through. So I always make sure now that when I ask how you doing, that I really care, that I'm really extending some compassion. And the second thing is that if they want to talk about how they're doing, by me saying how you doing, that's extending an invitation for them to tell me that I'm not putting a time limit on.
Right. Yeah, that's true. By your respond.
Yep.
And you're right. You're exactly right. I tell people that. That's why I said Man, and you could, and a lot of times, you could just you could just tell by the way some people are. You'd be like, man, they must be going through something. You can tell by the way they tone the voice, or the way they talk, or the way they might even be moving. So I tell you, you gotta keep this health. I tell you, this physical health, but the most important health is brain health. Mm-hmm. Brain health is the most important. There's physical health, it really is, but brain health, mental health, whatever you want to call it, is the most important in order for the physicality to work. Yeah. So, and I truly believe that. I tell people all the time. So here's one I want to get into. Now, I'm gonna tell you. Let me say this first. For what it's worth, I'm like I said, I'm gonna get your opinion on this. I usually don't talk about this on my podcast, but I've seen from some of your podcasts how you've talked about it. I'm gonna let you speak your point of view on it. Like I said, because it's just your point of view, and I'm gonna put it up at politics. Yeah, I know. and I know everybody has their own view and opinions on politics. I get that. And with that said, and I understand that, but the best way I can put it is like this. I guess I could say, let me say this. If Donald Trump's the president. Look, got nothing against. He's probably, like I said. Let me say this first, foremost. I look at people as human beings first, and then I look at their disguises for whatever's left after that. Because we are human beings first. And like I tell people, when you first meet somebody, you mean they represent them first time you meet them. You're not meeting that person because you don't know the other things they've been into, or maybe even their dark side. So I tell people, you all meet the representative of a human being first and foremost. But with that said, though, I just know that, the world's going in different directions and all different directions. And I know he's the president of the United States. It's just hard to accept. Now, I will say this, not to be taken up for him. A lot of stuff, the president don't have control of a lot of things. He don't have much power as people think he do. Yeah. But he does have some power. I'm not saying he don't, but he does have some, but some he don't. So some things he can't control. But a lot of times, it's just like right now, if we had 10 other people in our circle right now, they could convince us to do something we probably don't even agree with. And sometimes that happens to the president, or sometimes the president's ego so big, he gets them 10 to agree with him, regardless of how they feel. So, and that's where I'm at with that a lot of times. Like I said, but the president is who he is. I love that guy because he gives me plenty of comedy material. But with that said, he is what he is. He's not going to change. He's got a little orange tan. His tan is so orange, they don't even want him back at the tanning booth no more. So, but that guy, he really is. So, but I know you got something to talk about now because I've seen your podcast. So, you got to speak to politics a little bit.
So it's like this, man. Like for most of my adult life, I was a Republican. I was a Reagan Republican, supply side economist. Milton Friedman, and I had I got legit cred, like Jack Kemp, who was Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under George Bush, was my mentor. And he was a former presidential candidate. He was a representative from the state of New York, and he was a former quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, right? Oh, okay. So he this is a guy that had some cred, but he was all about compassionate conservatism, that he believed that a rising tide raised all boats. And that was what I subscribed to. But what I learned that when I was coming up, I was a syndicated columnist, right? I wrote a right-wing column. I was a radio talk show host for 5 years. And I used to advertise myself to the right of Rush Limbaugh, right? So I had this cred and I was going places. I had sponsors. I had mentors in the Republican Party. And if I desired public office, I could have gone there. But what I saw is that there were two things. One is that when you go up the political food chain, strange bedfellows start occurring. In other words, people, they say this publicly, but privately they're willing to compromise on that. Yep. And that was one thing. And then the second thing is that there was an undercurrent of racism that was happening that we were all kind of expected, those of us who were Black in the Republican Party were expected to kind of give a hall pass to that. Right. And I got to the point where I said, I can't do that anymore. And so I left. I left politics. I left radio. I left writing the column. I left everything. I walked away from it. As I've been good at walking away from things that don't resonate with me. When they stop resonating with me, I'm able to walk away. So, so then I started I started reading Marx and Engels, and I I read Capital, and I read the Communist Manifesto, and I began to study left-wing ideology. And what I saw was, people always go to, okay, Stalin, Pol Pot, and these people, that Mao, that they executed a whole bunch of people. And yeah, there's a lot of negative in leftist philosophy or politics, but at the core of leftist politics is an equity among all people.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily equality of outcomes, but equality of opportunity.
Right.
And that's a big thing, because like a lot of people want to say communism says equality of opportunity. No, that's not what it means. And if you go back and read Marx, you'll understand that. Most people haven't. When they say Marxist, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Right.
Okay.
So I spent some time reading things that were outside of my comfort zone, because I was used to, reading things by, reading the American Spectator and reading the National Review and reading William F. Buckley and reading people, conservative thinkers. Right. Mm-hmm. But then I got away from that. I started saying, okay, what's the opposite side look like? And so I started doing that, and it made me grow, because it made me think outside of my comfort zone.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that when it came to Trump, it was basically like, Trump is the result of 40 years of conservative ideology, and so him getting elected is the right wingers' wet dream. Because this is the guy that promised, hey, I'm going to make abortion illegal. I'm going to turn back gay marriage. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And so all these evangelicals, they're like, yeah. No, they're all excited. They're like, yeah. Come on. Trump is anointed of God. No, here's the thing. This guy is willing to do and say whatever he needs to do to coalesce this power. But meanwhile, these evangelicals that have been like school choice, for example, school choice is not really giving people opportunity. School choice is a way of enforcing racism in school without actually saying it. Because now people are able to take federal dollars, tax dollars, and move them into private schools that exclude or make themselves not available to minority students.
Yep.
So it's like all of these things that Trump says. He kowtows to Christian evangelists. He kowtows to the anti-abortion crowd. He kowtows to the anti-Semites and the people who don't like black people. He called them very fine people in Charlottesville, right? Mm-hmm. So all of this is a culmination of things. And this is what I'll say. I'm going to say this about Trump, and then I'm going to kick it back to you. Because people think that Trump is the problem. Trump is not the problem. It's like if you go to the doctor and you got this irregular mole on your ass, right? Okay. And you go to the doctor, say, I got this mole on my ass. It makes me a little uncomfortable. And the doctor looks at it and says, "Ooh, shit, dude, you got cancer."
Right.
And it's spread pretty far, but it's just manifested in this one spot. That's what Trump is. He's the manifestation of the cancer of this country. Condoleezza Rice has said it best. She said that racism is the birth defect of America. Now, to put that in perspective and talk about me so I don't talk about you and make you mad, is this. When I was born with what they call a club foot. It was a birth defect, right? Okay. And so my foot was kind of clawed up like this. So in order to remediate that, they broke the foot and reset it in a cast. Now, if my parents didn't take that step, I would have never been able to play football or any sport. And I played multiple sports in high school. Right. I would have never had a military career. I would never be able to do the things I would never been able to do martial arts or any of the things that I've done. All of those accomplishments would have gone away because my parents did not fix that birth defect. Right. So we had this birth defect in racism and slavery that this country never dealt with. And so now we're feeling the effects of this. Now, I'll give you another one, a popular figure, Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix was born with a hair lip, where his lip was split like a bunny rabbit, right? Mm-hmm. His parents decided to fix that when he was a child. And he goes on to become this Oscar-winning actor because they fix the birth defect.
Right.
So now we're living in a country that has had this horrific birth defect, this horrific deficiency that we've never as a country acknowledged or attempted to fix. And so Donald Trump is the manifestation of that. He's not the cause. No. Donald Trump is not the problem. No. He's just the ultimate expression of it. He is that irregular mole on your ass that says you got cancer, but you don't know you got cancer.
Yeah, but that's a great knowledge of the birth defect of racism, and you're right. That's hitting the nail on the coffin. And the reason why I say is because if you think about it, and I can go all the way back to when my mother was born, the 30s or 40s, if I can go all the way back. Yep. But that said, I say this for what it's worth, especially back in the 30s and 40s, because I know there was segregation. Have we ever, as the United States of America, have we ever looked at every human being in the United States as a human being and not as white, black, Latino, whatever culture you want to say? No. That's been the biggest problem. I tell people, the birth defect took away the human being. What I mean by that, it took away from people looking at people as human beings first, not by what you see, but by what they are, a human being.
Correct.
And that's what we've messed up at from a long time, and it's never changed since. You know, I know it's going all the way back to slavery, 400 years. I get it. Yeah, I might be a different maltone color from you. I might be this or that, but I'm still a human being. And that's where I think more than anything, where the line is, the problem is, until we look at people as human beings, and the eyes, for what it's worth, I'll tell you, the eyes can be the most dangerous part of the body because it's what we see, not what we feel. But it should be what you feel. So I tell people, the eyes are really dangerous. You know, it's like if I met you right now outside, met you somewhere, first thing I'm doing, I'm see with your eyes. But when you talk, I'm like, oh, it's a great person. Now I'm feeling him as a human being. Right. And that's what speaks volumes, you know, more than anything. A person being their human being. If they're a great human being, I have no problem getting they can be green, blue, yellow, whatever. They can be on this podcast. But if you are not a great human being, there's nothing you can say for that. You know, and then on top of that, if you're not a great human being, you add the racism part on it.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Here we go. You know, so
and so it's like this with politics. It's like what I look at, and this is me, and let me just say this, that when it comes to income, I'm like in the top 5%, you know, and I'm not saying that to stroke my ego or to boast or anything like that. Right. But my thing is that even in that, I'm not so tied up into my income as an identifier of who I am that I can't see where okay, maybe I make a little bit more. Maybe I can pay a little bit more. Maybe I can do more to help humanity. And so what I say is that politics, if we're doing politics right, if we're doing it correctly, we'd be like Norway or Sweden or Denmark or Finland. And we're like, and we'd be making things available to the entire population. So to make sure that nobody gets left behind, so we have a baseline standard of living. Right. And so what America has done is, you know, we've so bought into this ideal of rugged individualism that we say, okay, fuck everybody else. You know, if you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps, then you know you don't deserve to eat. And I wrote a blog post about this. I call it the myth of the magic bootstraps. That's what I call it. Okay. If you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps if you ain't got no boots.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. So this whole thing about, you know, that well, you know, now everybody's equal, everybody has equal opportunity. Well, yeah, everybody has equal opportunity now, but we had 400 years of black folks with a ball and chain, you know, onto us. And let me say this too, because you and I'm going to talk about the light skin aspect for a minute, right?
Oh yes, go into that because I get some on that. Yes.
So it's like this, like I'm light skinned on both sides of my family. Right now, I'm black. I'm black. I identify as black. I joke with my wife sometimes. I say, you know, I'm 2 or more races, and she said, "Yeah, you black and you nigger," right? That's what she says. But the point is that on my mother's side, the light skin comes from the fact that the slave master raped one of his slaves.
Okay.
All right. So my great grandfather was the son of the plantation owner and a slave, right? Now, on my father's side, a white man came over from England, set up shop in Kentucky, and met a free black woman and married her. And it was so scandalous that they had to leave Kentucky and move to Illinois, right? Because that was just not tolerated. So here we have, and I say this all the time, and people, if you're not light skinned, I'm just gonna say this, y'all don't understand this, but it's like we bear a unique burden in the fact that that our light skin is a testimony to the brutalization of this country, right? And I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, see, this is why I got into martial arts, because I used to get my ass kicked all the time.
Yeah, they picked on me too. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what they used to call me in high school, but you're exactly right. They used to call me light bulb in high school.
Light bulb, that's one.
But like you said, the martial arts, and funny you say martial arts, because I got into a fight with a guy who knew martial arts back then, because martial arts was real big back then.
Yeah.
I ended up kicking his butt. No, I'm not gonna say his name. Long story short, people did mess with me because of my complexion. But what they don't realize, like I said before, I'm a human being just like y'all, just because I got different color. And what they said, I can sit here and say this honestly. My brother's birthday's coming up May 25th, God rest his soul. He passed away. One of my brothers, they darker than Wesley Snipes.
Okay.
So what they say, I tell people, we got the same facial structure.
Right.
So it's just a skin, but that's back to just a skin color and a human being thing. You get what I'm saying? Yep. But it's just a color. But we've been so falsified through our eyes that this skin color is that way and this skin color is that way. It's so messed up to our eyes as well as our brain.
Yep.
So, but if you can look deeper into a person, look into the brain of them, that means a lot. I tell people all the time. Like I said, I got one brother. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, all three of my brothers are darker than me. I got one about brown skin, just a little bit darker than you. The other two are real dark. But people never, they're my brother. But if they look at them from the skin complexion way,
right?
So that's what. And then your friend Tommy stood here. I was going to get. He said something about. He said, "And my understanding is that by your bootstraps was coined to show how absurd the idea was." but yeah, and I tell people all the time, it's different now. We're in 2026. That's like, I could say honestly, let's say 50 years ago, you didn't see a black man and a white woman walking down the street hugging, kissing each other.
Right.
But you do see it there in 2026. So I said things are different. I get that. But I said black person and white person when it really was just a male and female human being.
Yeah.
So, but we look at it differently. So when I say we, it's just the whole word United States, the citizens of the United States, a lot of things have segregated, a lot of things.
A lot of things have changed. But there's a lot of people that are trying to roll things back to the way they were.
Right.
You see damage to the Voting Rights Act and gerrymandering and a bunch of other stuff. But I want to say this about politics, and I just to kind of close the loop on this, is that if your philosophy, if your political ideology is not rooted and grounded in helping everybody, not just the fortunate few, not just the wealthy, not just a particular ethnic strata. If it doesn't benefit everybody, then your politics is messed up. And that's the way I am. So when I look at politics, I say, what can I do personally to help others be their best authentic selves? And what can I do to help the system promote and grow other people? So when I look at politics, that's how I look at it. I don't look at it right or left. I'm like, now I'll be honest, I'm more left now than I was. And if I were to go in the military today, based on the criteria that I went in 1980, they probably wouldn't let me in because they would say, "Oh, you're a communist." That's where they would see me, but here I am, but the thing is, I say about politics, bro, is this: what does it do to help others? If it doesn't help others, then your politics is fucked up.
And you're right. And that's big. I want to say this, and I see on this podcast, I think I've said it before on this podcast, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm people. Yeah. And I said again, I'm people, about helping people, like you just said. And now some people get serious about this party stuff, and I don't want to go. It's a big history on that. I don't want to go into the Boston Tea Party. Now, it's a big history on that. But I will say this: if I've always said this, and it's one of the biggest things: divide and conquer. So I tell people that you got this party, you got this party, you got independent, you got all these parties.
Yep.
We really one big party, but it's just because we can't oversee the things that are in our way of making us be all one party.
Right.
So, but I'm like you. If you're gonna feel that way, fine. You have a right to your opinion, whatever. That's great. But I'm like you. I'd rather do something for citizens or people, something positive. It's not that I'm a Democrat, Republican. It's not. I just do it. If I give this guy $10 on the corner, I don't even know if he's a Republican or Democrat, but he's homeless. I'm giving it to him. So that's why I tell people. So, and if we can just stop looking at through judgment of looking at people through this way and that way, we could be a lot better off as the United States of America too. A lot of things. It was not. I think it's one more thing. I think it's just about it. But I just know that, man, as people, like I said, we just got to do better on a lot of different things here. And until that happens, it's gonna be the same thing here in America. But like I said, we're living in 2026 now, and 2027. I hear people say all the time, and true enough, it is really high, and it's really high now. I get all that. How high gas is, how high food is. But again, it is kind of high but then again, I think about this because I've always said this: the birds figure out a way to eat every day. Mm-hmm. God said, I might not give you what you want, but I'm gonna give you what you need. And I tell people all the time. So through my journey of my life, I've always had something to eat. I've always had some type of transportation. It may not be what I want, but I got what I need. But some people their wants are bigger than their needs. And this is why they're saying all this stuff, different things, whether it's on social media or other people, because their wants are bigger than their needs. And when you get to being like that, and when your priorities are all jacked up, not listed right, that's why you get to you hear people speaking this way. And
let me throw something at you here, because I really believe for the last 6 months, 7 months, I've been on this whole thing about the law of manifestation. I've been big on this, right? And really drilling into it, really educating myself and really speaking on it. And it's this: I believe that there is enough substance for everyone in the world to literally have what they want. Now, let me caveat that, because if what you want occurs at the expense of someone else, then your want is not justified, right? Now, if you say, hey, I would like to have a new Corvette. Okay. If this is what your heart's desire is, and you're believing for the income and for the provision to make that happen, absolutely. But if you say, I want Joe's Corvette, all right, now you got a problem. Because now you're covering someone else's thing. And so I think there's nothing wrong with having, we all have needs. We have basic human needs. And I think the basic human needs are basic human rights. That's me, right? Yeah. But then you have wants. I'd like to be able to wear, a Gucci blazer. I would like to have Ferragamo shoes. I would like to have a Rolex watch, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with wanting those things. And there's nothing wrong with having those things, as long as when you want them and you have them, they don't require you stepping on someone else to get them. Yeah. I believe that there is enough substance and enough wealth in the world where we can all have our needs met and most of our desires met, as long as those desires are local to us, that we're not exporting them in a sense that I need to conquer you in order to get my wants taken care of. And that's the problem. It's like what we need to do is, you talked about mental health, and we were talking about like emotional maturity, and my co-host Aaron Tomlinson, which you probably want to get Aaron on your show too.
Okay, all right.
Aaron, Aaron was talking about how the human beings are unique in the mammalia phylum of being, in that our children are not fully gestated. When our children are born, they're born dependent. They can't see straight. They can't think straight. They can't communicate. They can't walk. They can't talk. They're totally dependent upon the parent. Whereas a horse or a deer or an elephant, when they're born, After a few minutes, they get up and they start walking, and then they're able to start following, and they're able to start communicating. They're fully gestated. So what happens is that the human condition, because we have grown accustomed to not being fully gestated physically, I think that leads to a lack of full gestation mentally or emotionally or spiritually. And because of that, our wants, our desires, our needs, all of that gets thrown away, or it gets messed up. It's distorted because we're not fully gestated. So there's a level of maturity that has to happen with humanity. And from a national standpoint, I think that America has not fully gestated, that we have not completely learned to walk and talk like we should as a country. And as a result, we're still struggling. We're still stammering and struggling, and we still have a strong dependency.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And our man, and to kind of curtail on that, and as I end this podcast, our minds manifest what we see. Our minds should manifest on what we feel, not what we see. And that's a lot of times the problem, especially with everything that's been around your environment as a human being coming through your life.
Yes.
It's your environment more than anything is what your mind manifests. And like I said, that's why you always got to do brain health. You know, people tell me exercise in their body, which I take care of my body because I know this is the temple of God, but I also take care of this mind. When I say the body, I say the mind first, because I got to take care of his mind more than anything in order for me to be able to function on an everyday basis. So, but I tell you, man, I'm so glad you was on this podcast.
I'm glad to be here.
The time you've been on this podcast, man. I've got to have you back. It's like we had a good connection on here, you know. And I know when I seen, I'm kind of glad you reached out to me, because I'm always looking for new guests or whatever. Yep. And I seen you in there, and I was like, oh my God, I got to have him, because and I seen you on that podcast. I said, I definitely like to have him, and definitely like to have a couple other people too. You were just talking about some of your other friends and colleagues. So, but man, I'm so glad to have you on this podcast. And before I end this podcast, you got to tell my subscribers and my people, if they want to get in contact with you on anything you're doing out there, how to get in contact with you. And don't give them your personal phone numbers, because you got some podcast stalkers. But light-skinned podcast stalkers too. So, but yeah, just put your hand out there for us. How they can get in contact with you on anything that you're doing right now.
Yeah, so, you know, like if you're following me on Facebook, you can follow me at Derek Day Multimedia. That's my Facebook page. On Instagram, I'm Derek E. Day. On TikTok, I'm Derek E. Day. And on YouTube, I'm just Derek Day. You know, it's like if you go youtube.com, Derek Day. You can also find my books on Amazon, Deconstructing Religion, Part 1, Part 2, the Martial Leader, and Meta Speech, which is a book on how to give speeches. So, you know, those are things that I do. I've got a couple of other books that I'm working on. I have another leadership book that's finished. I'm just looking at how am I going to best market this. And I'm also working on a novel, which is an actual horror thriller novel based on vampires, which has an incredibly different twist. You know, my wife teases me about it. She says, baby, you know, that's porn. And I'm like, it's not porn. but anyway.
Light skin porn, baby. Hold on.
Porn. It's, you know, or like my wife calls it LSNE. You know, light skin energy.
Light skin. That could be LSI then. No. Oh my God, that's funny, man. Oh man, that's great. As I said, I love my podcast just for this here. You gotta laugh and enjoy the moments of life. You know, these are beautiful moments. I tell you, enjoy life, and I hope people contact you and can get with you on things out there, because you're doing a lot of things out there, a lot of positive things. And I love people just putting positive energy out there, because it's so easy to make negative energy. Anybody can make negative energy.
Oh, sure.
Grab hold some positive energy. Go ahead. What else you got?
On Friday nights, me and my co-host, Aaron Tomlinson, we do our show. And it's usually like around 6 o'clock. You know, we're a little black on time.
Right.
I'm just joking. This is a joke. But yeah, you know, we have a really good show. We did a show last night on self-compassion, which I think was a tremendous when I look back on it, I said that was one of the best shows that we've done. So if you have a chance to go back and look at our show on self-compassion, I highly encourage it.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm gonna do too. As long as it's on your page, I just throw it on my page so people can see it. That's what I do. And I just go to your page, start throwing. But how you doing? Nasaya Shepherd, this is a young lady I had on my podcast last month. Hey, how you doing? Much love to you. Thank you for tuning in. And but man, I tell you, man, let me say this before we get out of here. I gotta say this, man. I hope you have a great Mother's Day tomorrow. I was glad to have you as a guest on here. I'm definitely going to have to do a follow-up with you. I'll do a follow-up with you.
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, the person I got next month is a follow-up guest, and he's outstanding. He's a writer and editor. And also, let me say this: you're doing books and stuff. That's why I tell people I wish I could write a book. I don't think I could, but I have something to talk about. I have a whole lot to talk about, but that's down the road. I'm more of a podcast guy.
Holler at me privately.
Okay, because I never have gotten into, and I have a whole lot to talk about, especially from the time this big head was born to the time where we're at now. And with that said, I got a lot to talk about. And I know when you write a book, most of the time you're expressing yourself and tell people your life story or whatever it is you're doing, and people writing it and shorthanding or whatever. But I've always wanted to do a book, and I think I will eventually. So I guess when God wants me to go that journey, so because we all got a journey, just embrace the journey and enjoy it. I tell people so. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thank you so much for being a guest on the BHLC podcast.
Thank you,
I look forward to having you again on here, follow up. And like I said, any of your colleagues or friends, they want to be part of this podcast, they're more than welcome to chat message me, hit me up and send them my way.
We'll send you a list of names.
Yes, man. Okay. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being there. And it was good to have another light-skinned brother on here for the first time in age.
We light-skins got to stick together.
You're right. It's good to have some light-skinned brothers on the light-skinned. It's always these dark-skinned Wesley Snipes and these other brothers on my page, Mutamfa and Michael Blackson type of. I need more light-skinned brothers. So with that said, I appreciate you being a guest and being on here. And you enjoy the rest of your evening, man. And
you too, brother.
If you need me for anything, just hit me up, chat message, man. Hit me up.
We'll do.
Chat message away or whatever. So.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Love you, man. Peace.
Yeah, much love to you. Man, that was Derek Day. He was a great guest. Y'all go check him out on Facebook, Instagram, all his different handles. He's doing a lot of positive things, and he got his own podcast he's doing every Friday. So please tune in for that, for a lot of positive energy. Now, before I close this podcast out, I got to say this. I'll be at the Louisville Comedy Club May 13th here in Louisville, Kentucky. Starts at 7 o'clock, doors open at 6. Come check me out. Also, too, like I said, this is Mental Health Month. Being this Mental Health Month, send that text to a person, or if you see a person that might need that you're talking to and they kind of not all there together, listen to them. Try to help them out, because you just never know. And try to treat people fairly, regardless of how they sometimes may be saying or what they're doing, because you never know what they're going through. Like I said, this is Mental Health Month, so just try to take heed to that. And we all got mental issues we're dealing with one way or another. So also, too, is being Nurse Week. Much love to my nurses out there saving lives. Much love to you all. So, and like I say on this podcast all the time, learn, share, and inspire is the most important thing out here in life. You can learn, you can share and inspire. That helps out other people out here. Go to YouTube, BHLC Podcast, YouTube. Subscribe. Also, give me a listen on Spotify. I got to get some of these on Spotify, some more of these on Spotify. But I appreciate y'all tuning in for another podcast. I'll be back here. Matter of fact, the next podcast in June, I think it's 2 or 3 days from my birthday, June 12th or 11th, Father's Day month. And y'all tune in, got a great guest for you then. But until then, try to always leave you with something positive. Just be yourself, work on yourself, and let nobody break you down from who you are. With that said, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for tuning into BHLC Podcast. I'll see y'all around June 11th or 12th. Thank you so much for the love, and thanks for everybody to watch. Much love to you.